you. And I actually promised the good people at CodeWeavers, I'm not sponsored by them, by the way, but that I would make a quick video in this older game that may not be super high on their radar. They're largely concerned, I'm guessing, at more of the AAA titles that they try to make sure that they service the on their software for Mac and Linux to help run Windows games. And it's not just for games though. I would encourage anybody. I'll try to put a link when I put this video up to the CodeWeavers website for CrossOver is the name of the software that people are able to use. It is a purchased product, but they have a free trial that you can do of it. Anyway, so I'm in a guild here. I'm on the FV server, and my characters now. I'm kind of in the process of switching characters over. The FV server in this game services just the way I like to play it. I'm older. I'm not interested in doing some of the high level. I am, but I don't know. I'm a lot more physical. I got real world things. They're way more important than playing games. So, anyway, enough of that. This is about CrossOver that I use on my iMac. I list in my videos. I use an iMac M3. I got it. I've had it for a little over a year. I got it in November of 2023, I believe. Yeah. So I've had it a bit over a year, and when I got it, instantly, okay, it's iMac M3, and the RAM I have, I maxed out the RAM that I could get on an iMac of 24 gigabytes of the RAM that they put in these things. I have no idea what the speed of the RAM is. I mean, I've used Windows mostly in my life, but I've tinkered with Linux here and there too. So all I know is that Macs are closed. It's a closed system, and once you upgrade it or once you buy it, that's what you have in your system. You can't really upgrade very easily. So I made sure to have as much RAM as I could get, and I also upped the storage in it to 1 terabyte. Making those adjustments to the computer was not cheap. Apples are not cheap. They have earned that reputation extremely well. They might be at their base price by at least some, if not most. I think they're fairly reasonable for how well made they are and how well they perform. But if you just get the base product in an Apple computer, odds are you're going to end up upgrading a little bit sooner than if you try to future-proof your purchase. You just have to do the math, man. If it doubles the cost almost of the computer by getting the specs you really think you want for it to last longer, you do that, but then you prorate that throughout the life of the system. Macs, they can last a long, long time. My wife just a couple of years ago got a new MacBook Air, and the one she had before that was the 2012. I think she had her 2012 MacBook Air for like 11, 12 years, something 10, 12. It was like over a decade. It lasted her a very long time. I don't know anybody. I mean, it's just I'm just very impressed with that. Okay, they're really good computers. Anyway, enough sales stuff or anything. I'm just a hobby dude. I like this game. I throw stuff up on the internet. Sometimes to help my guild. Sometimes just because I want to, throw something out there. I first started doing this stuff during COVID because everybody was crazy during COVID anyway. And I kind of did it as, a little bit of a joke. My daughter, I was like, hey, look at this. I'm being a YouTuber. And she was laughing at me. And, and she had her friends join and they'd laugh at me, and she'd tell me they laughed anyway and stuff like that. So I like making people laugh. So if you tell me it's funny, that's just going to encourage me, whether it's good or bad. That's my wife. So, Anyway, the difference. Okay, now I'm done. I ramble a lot. This is why I'm not a pro. Okay. This is my Ranger. It's probably my favorite character I play. I got about 3 or 4 characters I play consistently. Really 2 I play consistently. I have 3 characters on this server, and I have 1 still stuck on my original server, Kazakh Thule server, that I haven't transferred over yet. And but I'm going to use this character to run through the examples I want to run through a little bit in this video of the texture issues I was having, but have been fixed in CrossOver 25. I didn't do nothing. I updated CrossOver, started the game, and I noticed, hey, look at this. This looks different. This looks like it should. It's not all white and, solid white. That's what was happening. On this sword my Ranger has on him, see the little lightning thing, right? Before, in the previous version of CrossOver, the settings I had to make the game run smooth as far as functioning, it wasn't able to either load or to render certain textures. And this was one effect that was an asset within the game files, evidently, that it was having issues with on my Mac. But as you can see right now, I got that, and it's looking pretty awesome. In this game, you have little ornaments you can stick on your weapons to make them look certain ways. And there's a certain history with this that I like on my Ranger because I'm an OG kind of player. And this is the effect the Epic 1.0 has, and I like that one. And that was a source of pride, personal pride, when I got my Epic 1.0, so I got that. So another difference, I'm going to go in first person here, slide up all the way. This is how we used to play it in the old days, at least I did, and I think a lot of people just played it in first person by default. I'm going to go on a little journey here in areas where I've also played this game on Linux, not just Mac before. And there were some issues I had in Linux that I'd like to kind of show you that hopefully I've not checked on, but hopefully they're fixed. And we'll kind of go through the little journey right here together here. Just a little rambling and moving along this vast little world of Norath for this game. Be kind of cool. I should do one of those little walkabout things without... Okay, here's the this is a good place for an example. Okay, yes, thankfully this has been fixed too, for me anyway, on CrossOver 25. These weapons and the shields were solid white. The textures that were making them, look, the fancy designs and whatnot, were not rendering. So there's that. And that's kind of nice to see. It's mostly, see, these are an older, these came with Luclin, I believe. So I'm guessing that the X-Pack of Luclin, the old Luclin X-Pack from back in, 2002 maybe, or so, and older, are probably the ones that weren't rendering really well. Where do I want to go next? Let's go to Frontier Mountains. But as you can see, everything. Now this lag you're seeing here, drifting and stuff because of the people in here, this is something that EverQuest has always had. I'm not blaming this on CrossOver or iMac or anything like that. It's just part of the old game that you got some drifting in this area. It's called the guild lobby, right? I'm going to go in our guild hall that you get to from the guild lobby, and I'm going to, so I can easily get to certain zones that I want to show you. Yeah, I want to show you the zones. I was just considering going to zones that, so I just click on the doors, you just saw me with the mouse, and then you get zoned in there to the next zone. I hope my voice is loud enough. For some reason, my mic, I got to check the mic levels. I should have done before I started recording. I did an update on my computer also. The iMac had an update that I did, so I haven't had any real issues with this is another thing, Mac OS. If you set a setting to a certain thing, I have not had the Mac OS, when it updates, change any settings that I make. Once the setting is done, it's done until you know, if that's the way you want it, they have respect and they say, well, that's what he wants, so that's what we're going to give him. Otherwise, with Windows, yeah, you never, odds are, everything you, sometimes with a Windows update, whenever you update it, it'll undo all kinds of stuff you changed to your preferences. You got to do it all over again. You have to turn this off, turn that off, switch this here, switch this there. I like that. That's why I was kind of a Linux nerd too before I got my iMac. But I'm older and I'm not going to tinker as much as I used to. I just want stuff to work, man. I believe this is the one I need. Because what I'm going to do is show you Frontier Mountains. Because I do believe I have a video on my channel. So you have to give this to the portal guy. This is a portal guy that you can go directly to certain zones. They make you spend a little money to try to help keep the economy, moving, and not so that there's over the inflation in the game server world is out of control and stuff. It's kind of out of control anyway, but they do what they can. Again, this is like the OG game, or one of the OG games. This game was made back in 1999. Well, it opened in 1999. They probably started making it, I don't know how long it took them to make it. I'm a nerd, but I'm not that big of a nerd. It probably took anywhere from 3 to 5 years, I'm guessing. So there's that. I probably ought to invis. I'm not going to go over my, hang on a second. I'm going to make the map bigger. The maps are very sort of antiquated here also. This is an old game. You like old games? I do. I'm old myself, so I'm set in my ways. I like what I like. So that's just how that goes. And I'm trying not to get too much attention. God only knows. Oh, geez. I've already made a goofball mistake. But, yeah, here we go. I'm running through a lot of crap that probably doesn't like me, but I'm high enough level that I can get fairly close and they're not going to go all, aggro on me and stuff. And is the mountain here? No. Yeah, here we go. Getting to the zone. And as you can see, the terrain here looks like it's supposed to on Windows. I believe this zone, for whatever reason, has always looked pretty okay. You'd have to go back in my older videos when I was on Linux. I did not use CrossOver, but I used Wine. I configured it myself, I believe, if I remember right. I've had 2 stints with Linux as a main daily driver. One was for about 1.5 years, and the other one was for a little longer, about somewhere between 2 and 3 years or so, probably. But I always kind of went back to Windows because convenience, and I just got sick of having to worry about graphics drivers whenever an app was updated or stuff like that, and other things. What's that thing? Anyway, so with Linux, you have to kind of make sure things are working. You have to stay on your toes a little bit to make sure that an update isn't going to break your stuff, creating a lot of troubleshooting you have to do yourself without much help. because really, if you're running Linux, you're expected to kind of know what you're doing, how to fix stuff yourself. And if not, they have, message boards and things like that. But you don't really have, say, a third-party company you can just yell at and say, "Hey, you've wrecked my stuff." You know what I mean? You can't just go to their help desk. There's no Linux help desk necessarily. That's you can, not to say you can't get help, but it's because people are being nice to help other people. And they don't have to help you, right? Anyway, so I've gotten all of that out of my system. I don't like to tinker as much as I used to when I was younger anymore. I just want stuff to work. I did a joke on a post in our private Discord server for this guild I'm in that I think it was there. Maybe it was on YouTube even. I made a joke about I just want to have time to watch my TV programs and yell at the kids cutting across my front yard, Grouchy old guy kind of a joke. I'm not grouchy. I might kind of growl and bark a little bit once in a while if I'm in a bad mood, but, Okay, it looks like this looks pretty good too. So as you can see, I'm going to head over to a place I know I was at. I did a video on my running into stuff. What the heck's going on, right? There it is, the statue. I'm going to here in this area. So I'm pretty sure I did a video with me killing stuff over there on my Beast Lord, I think, a long time ago, and I was running Linux. And it was pretty clear that the assets for the terrain here, whoops, I had to get this way, was not really rendering properly. But this right here, as old school as this looks, this is definitely how it's supposed to look. I believe the rendering had lines along here, and probably in the grass down below where I was running and stuff a little bit earlier, to get here. But yeah, all the floral is rendering fine. I should see if there's any difference here in display. Settings, advanced, what's it seeing here? Apple M3. The pixel shaders seem to be working okay. I've always turned off advanced lighting and shadows to help with lag, server lag. And it seems to be it says it's using the hardware TNL, the Vertex Shader 5.0, and Pixel Shader 5.0. So I'm guessing these shaders might have been the issues with what was happening before on Linux, and presumably, but you see this on my iMac, it actually, I don't want to be comparing apples to oranges here because the iMac was doing overall a lot better job. I'm just trying to give you an idea on how much CrossOver 25 can help you. The biggest thing with the iMac or Mac OS was those weapons, and there were certain models of the races, the mobs around, that were just like all white. And I'll show you that next here. So, and I will show you that by, I'm going to go ahead and, where would I go now? Okay. Making a plan now to get somewhere. I'm going to use the Guild Hall portal again just for ease of use, and I'm going to go to I thought Velius was kind of messed up maybe at one time. maybe not. Uh-oh. No, it's just a white. I was too close to the... I thought, oh, wait, maybe there's some... Over here, these right here, these barrels, these old school... the textures on this was all white before the update to CrossOver 25. So those are working fine. That mount is fine. It's just a white Griffin mount. When you step back, it's supposed to look like that. There's no missing textures on that, I don't think. And the Dark Elf is genuinely bald. It's not skipping his hair. Some people like to have bald Dark Elves, so you know, whatever they want. Just overall, if you look at my previous videos, this just seems to be working a lot better. I think it's using some sort of a translation for DX11, I believe, to work on the Apple M series processors with the RISC and what do you call it? With the newer processors, the different architecture they use. I forget it. It's not. I'm brain farting right now. I don't write stuff down. Damn it. Okay, so I think what I could do is, I think this is where this might be easier. I will grab Mercs to show as an example of the character models, because this is why I've picked the certain Mercs that I have, because they weren't rendering properly. So what am I going to do here? I think I'll just change this guy out. Okay, so I'm going to dismiss this Merc. Elwood, I've named it, but it's going to keep the name. You have to buy the name to change the Mercs names, and I do that because, I don't know, it's a waste of money, but I do it. Fiendish, I think those were rendering actually okay. So not there. If I'm not mistaken, I do believe the lizard men were not rendering properly. That's just, I probably don't have it. Not prepared. I'll have to get one of these because I didn't do that. You have to do this for each character you have to load up something in order to get a certain style of Merc. And I just neglected to do that on this character. Now I gotta go check and see where you can get a lizard man now. Not on there. How about here? Yeah, okay. Lizard man, healer. That was a lizard man. And there we go. See, you can see all his little bumpy, scaly glory there as a lizard man. And a healer, he's like a cleric healer type. He'll do some buffs to help your hit points and AC, and he'll heal you and even cure you of certain diseases and whatnot. But the way they have the AI going for the Mercs is that it doesn't seem that they will actually cure you in the middle of a fight. They'll heal through that stuff, or try to, and then they will, at the end of the fight, when you're out of combat, is when they will actually get rid of the disease or curse or whatever is on you that is troubling you. But, so you can see that this guy looks creepy and weird. I don't like those. I generally like to run with that low profile kind of Merc for my Elwood, so I'm going to get rid of him. I'll come back to do Elwood. Because there's something else. See what else I want to show you. See what those were. Oh yeah. Well, let me go ahead and get my Scorpicus back. Scorpicus. Healer, reactive. All right, there's Elwood back. Now, while the assets were rendering before, I do believe it looks a little better here. The quality of the rendering is better than before slightly. It's just doing overall better. I'm almost positive that because you see with CrossOver, I'm going to show the CrossOver. Hopefully it'll show. Okay, here's my CrossOver I've installed, and this is the bottle it was on, right? This is the rating CrossOver gives EverQuest. It runs great. Not everything was perfect before. Maybe I think they've improved the stars possibly. I don't know. Anyway, it's running good. I didn't have to do a darn thing to get it to just run. I used the default. I monkeyed with the default things a little bit to try to get the graphics to look properly, but I was unable to do that. So I just lived with the game running well and dependable, but some of the textures were not showing up and things like that. Like I said, for the older graphics, from like back in 02 and older. But as you can see, like I've demonstrated that, you know, some of them anyway, that they're running a little bit better. I just left this on auto. I left the synchronization on default. Some of this system here for advanced settings, I believe is a little new. Or they have better auto detection possibly. They did something. It's in their letter they sent me, and on their website boards probably somewhere, the improvements exactly. If you're nerdy enough, and I'm going to put the link in there. Just go to their stuff. If you're curious, if you either run Mac or Linux, but maybe when you were younger, a teenager or something, you used to play this old game. You're like, oh man, I didn't even know it's still playing. Oh, I thought it was all like those emulated servers. They still have the actual game running. That'd be awesome. So what do? Is you just, you know, if you run Linux, or if you're on a Mac now, but you don't have access to a Windows computer, I don't recommend using Windows at all for home use. I mean, if you're in a business, it's almost the law to have to use some kind of Windows operating system in a business. But for like office, cubicle farms and whatnot, whatever, in an office environment. But for home use, for me, man, it's Apple all the way. They're hassle free and they work well. And if you're on a Mac, or if you're a little nerdier and you like to, like I used to be, and you like to tinker with stuff and everything, and you're on Linux, CrossOver, if you want to have one thing you don't have to mess with or worry about, let's get CrossOver. I have chosen to pay the subscription to CrossOver. If you're strapped for cash, I don't know what to say. To me, $75 for an entire year is kind of a deal. I don't mind shoveling out $65 for an entire year. I know the bill's coming up. If you got to kind of, do without your Starbucks, or maybe, don't go to McDonald's or whatever for lunch, quite as much. Brown bag it for a month or so before you have to pay your CrossOver bill, and do that. Whatever you have to do, there's ways around stuff. If you really kind of on a really tight budget, I think it's worth it. And it updated, and I just saw, oh, well, it's on auto. Well, let me just see how it works the way it is out of the box. And I started this bottle. They call these bottles, or, that has all the stuff that EverQuest is supposed to need to run. So all the Windows files and whatever, and stuff, and the Windows file structure. And then it runs, and this is what it's been. It's been perfect. It's been awesome. Absolutely great. I didn't close it, by the way. When you macOS doesn't necessarily some programs they won't close by hitting the little red X. Okay, you have to go up top to run it out of view of this video that I'm recording. So it's only recording a portion of my screen. So you saw some of those. Where was I going to go again? I was going to go one more place. Oh, yes. Oh, there, I got a little clicky item to take me where I want to go next. And that would be, I'm going to go to Lorian's Inn. And I'm going to go to my current favorite place to headshot with my Ranger, which is the Timoris Falls zone. But at Timoris Falls, they have these sort of really giant mosquito-looking things that they used to be white, totally white, no textures at all, with the exception of the rare mob in this game. People call them named because back in the day, every mob had a generic title or name on them. They didn't have specific actual names on them. So when you saw a mob that had, like, say you were killing a bunch of bandits, and it's like a bandit enforcer, a bandit pillager, or whatever, you'd have those. But I think he might look a little better too now too. See, stuff's looking better. It's definitely using DX11. But then they would have all of a sudden you'd see one of the bandits, it would have a name like, George Blockbuster or whatever, or Sam Pickpocket, or, whatever, something like that. And they would have a name, and that name, and that was what they would call it, because they would only spawn, in rare cases, and then you would kill it, and they would have extra special loot on them, maybe an item that you wanted, or whatever. All right, this is the door I want to click on. Timoris Falls, right there. Now we're going to go there, and I will show you the mosquitoes there that used to just be white, and now they got a little bit of texture in them and stuff. They are still pretty washed out, but it's just how they made them for the game. And running around first person, invisible. Let me just go ahead and, whoa, there was some, on my track, my character has tracking because I'm a ranger. And these red ones, these are rares or named. You see? So I'll get TikTok is it okay. Over here, you got these little plants, right? Okay. Is that him there? No. See, this is normally the name. That's the generic thing. It's a vicious lash whip, right? There you go. Those. But TikTok is up. And there he has a name. So people in this game, they will refer to those as, ooh, that's a named. Is there a named up? They'll call them named. And I've always had, it sounds silly to me. I still try to, I call them rares because they're rare. It's just, I'm stubborn. Sometimes I like to go against the grain a little bit. And this is the spot where another named spawns in these big mosquitoes. You can see them here. And as you can see, look at that. See, this guy's got some lines and stuff. He's got some texture to him. And the wings he has look like bug wings. They look actual bug wings. Before, I have some videos of me on my Necro killing these things to try to get a rare spawn to kill. And I was killing these things. They were all white. So you could look at that video too. I'll link the videos that show some of the differences. Not because I think they're incredibly helpful, but they might be helpful to CodeWeavers because they actually, they actually sub to my channel. So I don't want to make it not worth their while or be some jackass that takes there should be a spawn right here. Nothing's on track, so evidently he spawned when the server went back up, and somebody got here before me and killed him just a little bit ago. They're on about a 10-minute spawn timer, these bugs. So yeah, there we are. That's how this rolls. Maybe that's him coming back? No. So, all right. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to where I normally like to hunt by myself, just to log out before I end this video. And ooh, see that? That's another rare mob, that bird there. That's kind of cool. I forget his name. Oh yeah, it's right here. Flariaton. Flariaton? Anyway, a little too tough for me to take on with just my ranger. Maybe. I don't feel like taking a chance. I like to be with other people with my ranger, and if I want to try to kill stuff like that on my own, I just use my necro. It's my general playing philosophy in this game. So there you have it, CrossOver 25 for EverQuest Live. It made some improvements. Things look a little better. DX11 seems to have been improving, or maybe it is DX9. When this game came out, it used DX9. That's how old the game is. As the game has lived on and moved from, I think they moved from 16-bit to 32-bit in 2002. So in 1999 they were 16-bit, I believe, architecture, and then they did a massive update when the Shadows of Luklin came out. I think was the name of it. The first, I believe that was the name of it. In 2002, I think it was. And they updated, did better character models, just better models overall, better environment, and they upped it to 32-bit. And now, lately, over the last year or so, maybe a little longer, about last year, they've been working hard to upgrade at least the UI to a 64-bit and then the back end to 64-bit to accommodate the memory usage that is being gobbled up, and try to make the game look a little better, I suppose, and just cut down on some of the lag. So there you go. They're making efforts still to this day. They're putting out new content, putting out a new X-Pack once a year. They run on a skeleton crew, basically, for an MMO anyway. But things are moving on, and they're trying to, I'm sure they're trying to fund their next EverQuest IP license. There's been scuttlebutt about them working on a sequel. We've heard that before. Different people were in management when they had the EverQuest Next fiasco that they did just before they got bought out by some foreign firm. It's either German or Russian or something, some firm that bought the company and its IPs. Anyway, it's all business stuff that I don't care about. I just want to play my game. So, and it's still running, so I'm playing it. I never edit these. This is just off the top of my head. But I hope you have a great day. And this is Elwood EQ, and I'm out.